What's up, guys, and welcome to Functional Friday, where I'm going to talk about this. This is the Boss Tube Expander. It's got the Wazacraft logo, so it's extra cool. But the reason I want to talk about this today is this could potentially be the best thing that you didn't know about. So a lot of people know what the aux box is. It's Universal Audio's version of a load box, and it's pretty cool. It does a lot of stuff. Well, this is Boss's version of a load box, and it does even more. First, I'd like to talk about some of the things I really like that load boxes do for you. A load box essentially can take an amp that can get that beautiful sound if it's pushed, but make it quieter. So a lot of times when you're practicing, you're looking for that right tone out of an amp, but you can't really get to it until you crank it. And then when you're cranking it, you feel like you're offending everybody else or everybody that lives near you. So a load box can effectively take care of that situation for you. It handles the load that your amp's putting out so that it can get to that sweet spot, and then it can lower the volume so that you can stand what it sounds like with your ears. But what if you're playing a live gig and that sweet spot on a small amp is too quiet? No one's really thought about that one. You could say I just mic it, right? You got that Princeton right next to your drummer. Just throw a mic on it, and you can get that sweet sound louder. The problem is you're right next to your drummer, and your mic is going to pick up just as much drums as it does that quiet Princeton. So, what do? Well, this little guy solves that for you. With this, you're able to take that Princeton, plug it into a 412 Marshall half stack, and pump 100 watts of insane power into it, making it the loudest thing in the room. That's right, you can take a quiet amp that's maybe 5 watts even, or 1 watt, and make it a 100 watt amp with this. It's incredible. So as an example, what I've done and what I've set up today is I've set up this Morgan, and I've got it at 35 watts, it's at max power. And I found that sweet spot, and things are being pushed pretty hard. I've brought down the volume a bit so that I can find that sweet spot and not have my ears bleed. So I can enjoy the amp right here just the way it is. But tonight I could go on a gig and play it live, and all I have to do is turn the speaker output up. And now I've got a 100 watt screaming Marshall Plexi on stage. It's probably too loud, really. But that's not it. Just like the aux box, this thing has cab sims. So, did I say Xbox? Aux box? Anyway, this thing has cab sims. So, you can send it straight to house. But unlike the aux box, which only has TRS outs, this was smart enough to actually put XLR outs, stereo, and a mono one. Don't know why you'd need 3, but they're there. It also has ground lifts, so you don't have to go through a DI box if you're going front of house. And maybe the aux box has that, but this has it for all 3 outputs. And one of the cool features that you'll find on the aux box is that you can add modulation effects to your high gain amp that doesn't have an effect send and return, just like this one. This one can do that too. You can control it with a foot switch just like you can the aux box. You can set up all your presets on a computer just like you can with the aux box. But what's more is this actually has an effects loop. So you can use your favorite pedals, which you can't do with the aux box. So that's 2 for this and 0 for the aux box of things that you can do that you can't do with the other one. Just so you know. One thing I will say is because this thing can do so much more than the aux box, it's a little intimidating when you look at it. There's a lot of buttons and a lot of knobs and a lot of plugs on the back. So what I did is I waited a year after buying it. I lost the manual on purpose. Maybe. And then I said to myself, well, now's a good time to make a video because I have no way of knowing how to operate the thing unless it's intuitive. And guess what? It was. I was able to set up the entire thing with my pedal board with my modulation going into the back. I'm using a little bit of its reverb, so the unit has a separate reverb from the rest of its effects, which is kind of cool. So you can turn on its effects, which are like delays and modulations, all sorts of timed effects, probably compression. I lost the manual. But you also have a reverb that's independent, just like you would on an amp with a reverb. So that's brilliant. So I've got it dialed in, and I've got it cranked up, and I've got it load bearing, and I've brought the volume down. So it's a nice, comfortable whisper with awesome tones. Sorry about all of this. I forgot to cut these. Hold on a moment. Right now I'm just using a little bit of reverb from the tube amp expander, the TEI, if you will. It's awesome. It sounds great to me. I don't know how you guys feel, but to me, I'm loving it. So, let's crank it up. Maybe you go on stage. All I have to do is turn this bad boy, and things don't really change. It just gets louder. And I may have discovered one of my favorite sounds just now. A plexi. Being a plexi. Loud, pushed. With one of my favorite drives going into it. And some of my favorite modulation. I need to take it on a gig right now. I think I'm going to tonight, actually. So as you can tell, I ended up doing it, and it went great. We started off just miking the cab, and then the second set, the sound tech asked if he could grab a feed from the tube expander itself, and he actually ended up blending both of them and saying that it sounded amazing because it just filled the room with guitar, but it wasn't offensively loud. It was just nice and full and rich. I didn't get a chance to really hear it. I had in-ears in, and I didn't really run out into the crowd, although I did prefer the mix that was direct on my in-ears once he made that adjustment. So yeah, you guys need to buy one. You should have one already. And if you need any more convincing, well, here's your final convincing. It's already got so many more options, but what does it cost? Well, as you can see here, it costs $1,400. And you might be like, that's crazy expensive, but the one that only plays with Apple computers costs $100 more and has almost half the features. So, if you're looking to do what a lot of people are enjoying these days and taking your rig that's supposed to be loud and keeping it at a quiet volume so that you can play it inside your home studio, don't waste your money. Get the Boss, it's way better.